Maury, we've had an amazing response so far with our very first interview. Some of the fans, their comments were they were looking to get a little bit more into the meat and potatoes, if you will. So I'm going to go ahead and start with a simple question, Maury. How did you first end up working as a DJ in a gentleman's club?
Well, I recall saying something about being a fraud. I don't know if fraud was really the correct term, but I didn't know what I was doing. I had never been in a gentleman's club one other time in my entire life. So how I ended up there was quite by accident.
Was that something, so it was something you fell into?
Well, it was, yeah, it's actually kind of a long story. What made me walk through those doors was an advertisement to become a security bouncer. They were searching for bouncers, and I had spent a great deal of time as a martial arts instructor at this point. And I was in between jobs. I had just moved back east from California, and I did not have solid work. I was working part-time. No, I was working at a fishing lure factory making fishing worms.
In fact, that company is still around today.
Oh yeah, they are very hugely successful.
I think I have a picture that you sent me of the gummy fishing lures.
Yeah, the rubber worms, rubber salamanders, artificial worms for freshwater fishing, saltwater fishing, yeah.
Wow, you're a bit of an expert in a lot of different areas.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to go back to the DJ booth. So for people who have never seen that world, what was the DJ booth actually like?
So, well, it was kind of different as the career progressed. So, all right, so I first started, I did not know really what I was doing. The DJ booth was, it's equipment. It's dark. It's a little booth out of the way. You're not even supposed to know where it's at. And it's got CDs up there and sound system, and the lights are controlled from there, and a microphone.
Did you have gentlemen's club music already?
No. So, again, when I first applied, I had no experience. And was supposed to be, I had gone in to be a bouncer, but they didn't need bouncers. They needed DJs. And I had only a passing knowledge of how the equipment worked. I did have good music knowledge. I had always had that, a wide variety of music knowledge. I just had never even once considered using any of that as a form of employment. But so the club has its own CDs, to answer the question. The club usually has a handful of CDs, which is usually whatever the bartender likes to hear when they're closing the place down or starting the place up.
Okay. Well, take me to the first club. What did your night look like?
So this was probably 96. So again, I had never really been in a club before, so my first experience was exactly that. I walked in, said, "I'm here for the job." They pointed to the DJ booth from across the room, and that was it. There was no orientation. There was no walking me around, showing me how to turn things on and off. They just pointed to it.
So it's fair to say that the job was lacking onboarding.
There was no staff support. There was no onboarding. didn't even really know the management structure and how you learn that as you go.
Okay.
So it was very loose organization.
A lot of people think that all you're doing as a DJ is just playing music. Were you responsible for more things going on during the night?
So the first and foremost, yes, music. Also the lights. So when you come in and a club is not prepped for customers yet, when the customer walks in, it's always ambiance is already set. The music is already set. The bartenders are in their place, waitresses, all the customer service elements are in place and ready to go. But that's not how it starts out. When it starts out, all that has to be established, and the DJ does a good portion of that as far as the lights and sound and the ambiance of the club is concerned. And it depends on what kind of club as to what all is involved, whether it be turning on televisions and neon and different lights. If there's stage lighting that needs to be operated and get into sync, a lot of systems take a certain amount of warm up. Back in the day, that used to be light bulbs that needed to be changed out and maintained, and there was a great deal of maintenance that would go into play.
So you're in charge of music, lights.
Yep, the stage cleanliness was also a portion of DJ's responsibilities. When I started in the smaller clubs, where the stage would be right next to the booth, they're practically connected. So I had access to the stage and portion of the stage, so getting the stage ready was also part of my
Looking back now, would you say that would be an advantage or a disadvantage being so close to the talent?
Oh, well, it turned out to be a great advantage, especially at the beginning, because not knowing really how the business worked, I became very dependent on my staff to tell me and to communicate with me what the end result we were shooting for, and that we could collaborate to make that happen.
So you actually did have training, but you had training from the girls.
That's correct.
The bouncers.
Correct.
The bartenders.
Correct. Yes, I learned from the people in the club how I could best service them.
So I think they probably noticed that you were very green in the beginning.
Certainly.
And was this something you had to win them over? Or were they not nice to you in the beginning?
No, there is a great deal of competition. So it's just like the bartenders, they get based on their established rapport with their customers. They will have repeat customers, and certain customers only come in on certain days because that staff member is working on those certain days. The rapport is done the same way with all other members of the staff, as well as the supporting staff. So your DJs, there would be girls that I was their favorite. Same thing with the rest of the support staff. Your bouncers, your bar backs, and everybody else had their favorites. So you fell in and out of favor with your money makers. You would also figure out which shifts and which nights generated the most money, brought in the most customers. If you had a bartender that had great rapport and a lot of regular customers, same thing with the entertainment, had great rapport and repeat customers, and you had a strong DJ that was able to fill the house and keep everyone entertained the entire time, then everyone involved maximized.
So did you have control of the energy of the room?
Absolutely. It was almost magical, and that's what I learned very early on. I always knew that music affected me a certain way, but I didn't really see the power of music over a room full of people, especially a room full of people that aren't necessarily paying attention. They're not listening to every song you put on, but you can see and feel and control the energy in the room by the series of music that you play, the tempo of the music that you play, the amount of backbeat rhythm to lyrical content. There's all a lot of subliminal control that goes into the ambiance that you set. and this is evident. For example, in elevators, they play something extremely non-offensive, what they used to call muzak. It wasn't even, almost not even identifiable.
Okay, thank you, Maury, for taking us down that road of elevators. But I'm going to try to keep you on topic here.
We're back.
We're back. So I'm interested, what kind of music worked best in that environment?
1996 was a good time because there was new elements being brought to the popular music. So most of the time it's pop music, right? Yeah. Pop is short for popular music. So you would have your classic staples, the rock songs that everybody knows and can sing along with, but are also danceable. AC/DC, Back in Black, for example, is a rock song that you can also dance to. So staples like that, the popular songs of the radio, your top 40 hits, which are usually more of a dancey sing-song type music. And then in the mid to late 90s, we saw an introduction to what became EDM or techno music. And that was very new to that genre of entertainment. So before 1996, it was rock and roll, country, and pop radio. Okay. Whereas underground scene was electronic music and techno music, which didn't have a whole lot of lyrics and things of that nature like you would hear on standard mainstream radio. But that music infiltrated the adult entertainment industry just like it did every other aspect of pop culture.
So let's say in the very beginning, early 90s, when you first got into the music and you got into being a DJ, did you find that there was a song that would change the room or get people?
Absolutely. I mean, there's ones that have a great long intro that builds naturally and uses the power of what music has been doing to humans since the invention of music, since back before classical music. It's the masterful build and crescendo of sound. So that always gets them going. But usually, more poignant to your question would be the hot summer hit.
Okay.
So always whatever's hot on the radio, and oftentimes your DJs that were in the know would get those hits prior to the mainstream radio playing them. Your underground DJs would probably know what that new hit was gonna be.
Oh, that's cool.
It's called white label.
Okay, white label. We're probably going to learn about the old white label. But right now, one thing that has been on my mind is that I think when people hear that you were a DJ in a gentleman's club, they imagine all kinds of things. What do you think people usually get wrong about the job?
One is that it does eventually become work. What most men assume is probably the greatest environment that you make money at being in a club environment, and all that type of behavior would connotate, and say that they're paying you to do that. It seems more like fun. But no, any job, regardless of how fun, when you rely on it for your financial sustenance, it does eventually become work. And the things that become humdrum and routine, even as exciting as they are when you first begin to experience them, do lose their luster after years and years and years, and it becomes work. And the things that you would overlook become a hassle, and things that you don't look forward to. And also the social connotation is a drag. It's a real drag where, and it's not the same for men and for women. Men in the business seem to get kind of a buy with other men, whereas with women, a normal guy that works in the adult entertainment industry is immediately shunned by other women because they automatically assume you're a misogynistic freakazoid and a sexist jerk, right? Whereas the other side is for a woman that's in the entertainment industry, all men that she comes into contact with outside of that automatically assumes she has no morals or is easily attracted to money and would do anything for a simple offer of cash.
Or drugs and alcohol.
Or drugs and alcohol.
Right.
There is a lot of ill connotation, and not to say that some of them isn't true, but there is, yeah. It's not all candy canes and lollipops.
Well, what did the lifestyle teach you about people?
That most of what people show you out in the real world is fake. And where people will be true to themselves is when they let their guard down and they think that what's going on is not being noticed or talked about when they are more true to themselves. Also, for people, especially for entertainers who really go out and, for lack of a better term, bear it all, they show an extreme sense of maturity for the vulnerability that they are volunteering theirself to. It takes an incredible amount of strength, even for someone who ends up in that situation, not through any fault of their own. They do show an incredible amount of survival skill and strength just to be able to confidently make a living in that environment day in and day out and still stay focused and be a good person on the inside. Sharing warmth with other human beings is still available to them.
Did that whole DJ experience change how you see the world?
It's definitely changed how I see individuals. I don't lump groups into what they may or may not be assumed are into. Every individual deserves a chance to represent themselves. That being said, I certainly have seen a great deal of common denominator behavior from large groups of people that would like you to believe differently about them.
So we did touch on this a little bit the last interview, but eventually that chapter of your life ended. And how did you know it was time to move on?
I think I mentioned when I had there was a younger time in my life. Younger Maury did not want to have children for various reasons, and we won't go down the rabbit hole of that now. But eventually my biological clock ticked in such a way that I changed my stance on that particular philosophy. So wanting to have a family changed my involvement in a nighttime lifestyle. It in my estimation, it really wasn't setting me up the best I could be if I wanted to have a family. So
basically
that was one of the major motivators.
Biological clock was
My biological
ticking.
clock.
And so you made choices, met your future wife. All of that was basically a means to a goal, was having a family and
Yes.
being normal.
Getting out of that business, having a normal life, having a family, and becoming what we used to call in the nighttime industry a day walker or a day tripper.
I love that.
Or a civilian.
Okay. So looking back now, what do you think that period of your life gave you?
Oh, it taught me so much. One, about myself, about humans and human nature, about greed and lust and power, and again, what people are really like, not just what their business card will tell you. it took blinders off of me to a vast majority of what human nature is like.
We're going to end this interview. Thank you. This is now my second interview. We're doing that one sentence question.
Okay, I'll try.
If someone asked you to sum up those DJ years in one sentence, what would you say?
Righteous.
I was going to say controlled chaos, but that's great. All right.
It was fun.
It was fun. Perfect. I love you.
Oh, I love you too.